right, everybody, video number 2. I didn't want to mix pleasure with business. No. All right, so I'm not really, completely sold on the polar shift, like the earth flipping. I mean, that's always could be like a possibility. But there are definitely some really serious things that are going on. And I know because I'm having some major glitches that, I'm really being forced to pay attention to. And, just watching everything. But something's coming. There is something going on planetarily. I don't know if it's a giant comet coming our way, planet Nibiru, polar shift. I just don't know exactly what it is. But the magnetics are crazy right now over the last 2 weeks. And the thing is, I didn't really want to report on this because I was trying to glean more energy, but I've had to use my energy to block, go listen to the video before this, kind of block a lot of the negative energy so that I'm moving forward. I'm not getting sick. I'm not staying stuck. Because that's been kind of an epic ordeal, just blocking the energy, negative energy. So there's been some really weird things that have been happening to me lately. Sometimes I'll kind of maybe hear a snap. Sometimes not. Always a feeling of intense nausea and vertigo to where I want to fall down. And when it first kind of started happening a couple weeks ago, it was kind of like some of the symptoms I had before when I had brain cancer. But there's other things that are going on with it that tells me it is not brain cancer, it's the reality, right? And then so probably in the last 4 days. So this is going to go back to my childhood. When I was a little girl, I had a really hard time being in a body. I'm not really sure if, when I was sent here by my Star Nation family, I'm still not sure that I ever have lived here before, on Earth. And I don't think I've lived in this kind of a reality. And I've never for certain lived in this kind of a body. And I'm not saying I haven't had some kind of biosuit, that my spirit or energy part of me, but everything here was unusual and different. And there was no, anybody to teach me about this reality. So I had this really hard time. And what will happen at night, when I would get sick, sometimes this would make me sick, respiratory, stuff, infections and pneumonia. But at night, when I would start to go to sleep, I'd have so much stuff on my mind. And so what I would do is I would stare at the sheets, the threading. And I would travel into that, and then I would travel into the molecular structure and into this void-like abyss. And, I wasn't really attached to my body. And so that's kind of how I let my body sleep was kind of by consciously leaving it, being able to, and people will have this sensation. People will tell me they do acid or DMT or ayahuasca. And sometimes when those things are starting to come on, they'll hear a refrigerator hum, they'll hear some kind of noise. And that pulls them into the kind of altered state. I did this, I didn't really do drugs when I was a little kid. So I was good at separating myself into an altered state. And then I would just stay in that void And then in the morning, when my mom was trying to wake me up, sometimes it took a really long time to get me to wake up and get up. Um, and sometimes I would be really sick. I'd have, once they woke me up, I'd have a lot of vomiting. Um, I'd have an immediate like respiratory infection that was like pneumonia. And so my mom had this thing that when I opened my eyes, she would look at the color of my eyes and she would know what kind of condition I was in, because I'm sure she was just as shocked as anybody else, like how you could get something like that out of the blue. But a lot of it had to do with that the spirit wasn't connected to the body at all. And I'm sure that it wasn't good for, the development of the body and whatever else. So, yeah, so if my eyes were white, like the actual color, it was a whitish blue with a tight pupil, then my mom would take me to the doctor, or she'd call in sick and stay home. And it became like a running joke because I'd wake up in the morning going, oh, I don't want to go to school. I don't feel good. And she'd be like, let me look at your eyes. Let me look at your eyes. Because I have very crystal blue eyes as it is. But when my body is not feeling good, they get really, really light and almost white. You can tell like the condition of my body. So, yeah, so that's kind of like, so it feels like the dizziness type thing feels like when I'm going into the molecular structure, into the void. And when I would be coming out, I would have that dizziness and vertigo as well. So, and would vomit, right, when I was pulled back into the body. So that's the kind of dizziness that it feels more like. And, and I'm sorry that I don't really have this quantum consciousness vocabulary. A lot of the stuff I see is just plain horse shit. Made up. And people, your reality is what you perceive and what you believe. So, anyway, so the last couple times, 4 days apart, uh, I felt nauseous. And then I look up and, my reality is doing this. Kind of like if you're looking at a TV and the image just kind of goes like this, So that's what it looked like. And then today it happened too. I was paying attention to a message and replying to it. And I feel that snap. And then I feel nauseous and I look up and, the whole room is doing this. Allergies. So I don't know if I'm shifting personally, if the whole thing is shifting, but I really have a feeling because I'm watching people get sicker and more asleep in a chronic way than ever before. Like, just turn off. And so this is kind of indicating to me that it's a outer thing, right? It's a whole reality thing that's going on because it's triggering people in a non coping way. And yeah, so it's kind of an interesting thing to actually kind of watch. So, I'm sorry this information's vague, but, pay attention to everything. If you're watching my channel and you live on coastlines, I hate to put out an emergency warning, but if you've got money, you should just pack up and move to somewhere inland, like in the middle. Because I think if everything starts to shake and shimmy, there are just going to be a lot of areas that aren't going to make it. And maybe a lot of these people, that are already not making it in this chronic, asleepness, maybe that's causing the reality to be really, because you have more people that just want to be asleep and don't care. And so now, before they would rule it, rule the energy fields and the whole creation of hell on earth and all that other stuff. And maybe there's this point where it's starting to shift, not because of us, but because of whatever is going on, and that they're just not going to make the turn, right? And I'm not so sure that putting something positive into it versus negative, I don't like that seesaw stuff. I don't like to be out of balance. I'm not going to go there. And I'm just going to really try to stay neutral and just really see how things, go. But I think, I don't know, the word that they're using is cataclysmic, but I'm not really sure what that word exactly means. But anything could be cataclysmic. You could break your leg and lose your job and lose your house and all that stuff, and that would be cataclysmic. So just be aware and pay attention to everything that's going on around you and watch the signs. And, just, tell the universe, send out a signal or a prayer to the universe, just saying something like, I'm listening, I'm open, I hear you, I see you, in the good way, in a good possible way, show me what I need to do next in a good way. Tell me where I need to be. Tell me where I need to go in a good way. In a good way, let me know. Stop it. You better stop being bad. So, and that way it'll be helpful. And that way it's like, telling whatever the reality is around you, the field and other beings, that they can give you the information that's needed. And if they give you the information, you have to take it and you have to trust it 100%, and you have to go, right? If you have to go, you have to go. But whatever they tell you to do, you should do. Okay, everybody, that's just I have no idea what's going on, but something's going on and I'm watching it, and it's going to shift. And I think it's going to be a hard shift. It'd be like going in fifth gear on the highway to reverse. Ka-kunk. That's what it feels like. All right, everybody. Talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye.